Questions. Knowledge is a powerful tool. It is the master of your tools. It is where your tools come from, because without knowledge, there is nothing. Let's take that one step further. Knowledge is the ultimate weapon. It trumps all other weapons. Thought is what wins. The mind is what wins. Knowledge is what wins. And you gain knowledge by asking questions. Which questions should you ask? Simple. Question everything. Don't accept anything as truth. Question it all. When you don't understand a word, get out the dictionary. When you don't understand a concept, break it down until you do. When you don't know how something works, dig into it until you do. Ask every question that comes to mind. That is how you learn. And most important, question yourself. Question yourself every day. Ask yourself, who am I? What have I learned? What have I created? What forward progress have I made? Who have I helped? What am I doing to improve myself today to get better, faster, stronger, healthier, smarter? Is this what I want to be? This? Is this all I've got? Is this everything I can give? Is this going to be my life? Do I accept that? Ask yourself those questions, those hard questions, and then answer them truthfully. And realize that all of us can do better. We can be better. And it starts when you begin to ask those questions. So ask the hard questions of yourself and find the path to progress and discipline and to freedom inside the answers. This is from Discipline Equals Freedom, Field Manual by Jocko Willink. Oh, I didn't notice you guys came in. Are you here for Bitcoin Talk Show? My name's Thomas Hunt. I'm from the World Crypto Network. Got the sun in my face today, but we're dealing with that. And let's just do a quick check of what's going on in Bitcoin today. Today is Tuesday, February 6th, 2018. Let's see what's going on. The price of Bitcoin is up. The price of Bitcoin is up. The price of Bitcoin is up 6.22% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 7,335, a high of 7,421, and a low of 5,946. That's $1 for 13,678 Satoshis. Oh, still the same. We're looking at Bitstamp right now, looking at the live price. The price is 7,355, rising to 357. We're looking at the 1 minute candles, so they are very small. But as usual, we do have a start of the show breakout. Remember, every time we start the Bitcoin Talk Show, the price of Bitcoin goes up because people start talking about Bitcoin. And that's been happening so much that CNBC has changed their name to Crypto NBC. The Forbes podcast lady has gotten so big that she quit Forbes. And there's dozens and maybe even hundreds of other crypto YouTubers talking almost every day about every altcoin, every ICO, and every fun new thing that we have going on in crypto today. So everything has gotten bigger. And the reason is because of you, because you're talking about it, and I'm talking about it, and they're talking about it, and everybody is talking about it. That's why. Coinbase, Bitcoin SegWit testing in final phase and available soon. Finally, some real information from Coinbase. Finally, something that you can take to the bank and say, hey, they're a real technology company. They're not just messing around with us on Twitter saying, oh, we're going to do it in 2018. And everyone says, yeah, we'll expect it in December 31st at 11:59 p.m. So it'll be in 2018. But as the article said, and as Coinbase said on Twitter and in their blog, they have been working on it. It is in their final phases. And even Coinbase has to acknowledge that once SegWit is active, cheaper and quicker Bitcoin transactions everywhere. So once again, when you're competing against something like Bitcoin and you want to say something negative about it, remember that Bitcoin is software. It's constantly changing and improving. So even your negative idea now, how you're going to break Bitcoin, how it's not going to work, could be worked around and added to the software and improved, and your problems could go away. And pretty soon you're wondering, there's nothing wrong with that Bitcoin. It seems like it works fine. And that's because so many people have tried to break it. And it's all part of the process. It's a scientific method. We're looking for the best solutions, the best answers. And if you don't have it, you're not going to stick around. Looking at the mainstream media today, we had some major events as the CFTC had a hearing in the Senate about Bitcoin. We have a couple of quotes here from Joseph Young on Twitter at I am Joseph Young. Bitcoin's volatility is an issue, but volatility exists everywhere, says the CFTC chairman. Bitcoin's volatility was not as large as other asset classes like VIX. We have seen an extreme volatility in Bitcoin, but in our world, commodities, we are used to volatility in asset classes. As Christopher Franco says, the Senate hearing is bullish for crypto, and it was looking good. As CoinDesk quoted, Giancarlo, the commissioner of the hearing, said, on blockchain tech, I'm no pie in the sky dreamer, but the applications range from enormous potential in financial services all the way down to the way that charity dollars are spent. It sounds like someone's been doing their reading and is seeing the blockchain as more than something that could just be used for the Silk Road or for drug purchases. It's so much more. Something that's more than just potentially anonymous money, something that's, deflationary, something that has a fixed number of units, but also something that you can send all over the internet, originally for almost free, and soon with the Lightning Network again for almost free. But remember, you're buying software, you're buying more than just one thing. A lot of the times people say Bitcoin's a religion and this is a cult or whatever. And the ETH heads and the altcoins, everyone has their own kind of cult banner. They have a thing that they get behind. Maybe they're a bag holder. Maybe they just like the technology. But when you think about Bitcoin and you try to explain it, it does kind of go along those religious lines where you say, oh, it's three gods in one. It's the Holy Spirit. It's all three because in a way, Bitcoin, having now with the Lightning Network, potentially Rootstock, and the original Bitcoin system, you're getting a much more complex piece of software than you were buying in the past. But the thing with Bitcoin is it's not over at just three. There's going to be 5, 10, hundreds more. You could even count in these Bitcoin forks as part of the thing where if you hold the original coin and you've got an old Casasius coin or an old paper wallet on a shelf, not only do you get all the forks, not only do you get the Rootstock, the smart contracts, you get the Lightning Network with the fast and cheap transactions, you get the original Bitcoin network with the large, pay for your Lamborghini transactions, and you get potentially anything new that's developed on Bitcoin. And if you look at where would you develop, it's much like when you choose the internet and you say, are we going to develop on TCP/IP? Are we going to develop on the web in the web browser? As we saw the web browser go from this kind of clunky piece of software that loaded HTML and text and images only really to text, images, video. And now it's pretty much my desktop. Working out of Google Apps, the browser is the desktop. I go from computer to computer. I really go from Chrome browser to Chrome browser. Certainly they're tracking everything. That's a separate issue. But as far as an ecosystem, if you look at what TCP/IP, if you look at what the web browser has built and the way that they crushed FTP and they crushed Gopher and they crushed all the other systems, Telnet, all the things that we used to do on the internet that we don't do anymore, that's because of the power of these protocols. And I know you guys have all heard Andreas speak, and he talks about how TCP/IP, it bends, but it doesn't break. They keep saying it's going to fail, we need something new, and then they keep improving it. It's software. It's not over yet. So the Senate Committee on Banking and Urban Affairs kicked off at 10 a.m. Tuesday with the Commodities Future Trading Commission, the CFTC, talking about Bitcoin and ICOs. Most of the response we've seen from Twitter is that the meeting was overwhelmingly positive. They're a bit interested in the ICOs. They kind of think that those look like securities, and we have existing laws here in the US that regulate securities, and maybe it would be a good idea to follow those laws. But they're talking about Bitcoin at the CFTC. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. There's been a big debate on the Amsterdam flag that I have hanging behind me, just to fill you guys in. Originally, I had it hanging long ways, mainly because it fit on the door jamb there. It fit on the doorway, the size of the space. Then people said, no, it needs to go the other way. So I changed it. And then immediately I got complaints that it was the wrong way. People even sending me a Wikipedia article that showed me that it was based on the Amsterdam crest and the coat of arms, which was vertical. It was XXX straight down. So we're having a debate on that. We have contacted the I Am Amsterdam Twitter account to see if we can get an official reading of which direction the flag should be. But they're saying that Bitcoin's breaking out. So we're going to take a check of Bitcoin. And remember, the price does seem to go up when we start these shows. That's a rumor, and I'm also starting it right here. But we're looking at the 5-minute candles. And looking at this, I mean, we did dip down to 67.97. We had a previous high of 74.77. If we look at it right now, we are on the verge of that 74.49. We are seeing a possible breakout over the previous high right here, which looks like it came from 7:45 a.m. this morning. Let's see what else is going on here. It was at 72, dropped to 69, and it had to drop all the way down to 62 from a spike high to 69, previously at 60 even. So we have seen some upward movement for Bitcoin. Why is this happening? Let's continue with what we've got. Earlier this morning, I was listening to some financial news on TV, and it sounded just like Bitcoin. They were saying the same things. Is the rally over? Are you a bull over a bear? How long is the bear going to be? Have we seen the high? But I can tell you about these TV guys. They did seem nervous. They did seem nervous. The Dow, as you know, has been going down quite a lot lately. And certainly there's nothing anyone can do about that. But the TV guys seem nervous. Neil Cavuto on Fox News said, maybe we have too many financial products. Maybe by trying to protect people from risk, we're actually making more risk. And we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now. It's only gone down about half a point today. So if we look at today, we've had some swings, though. If you look at this 24,085 all the way up to 24,700. So that's a 600-point swing. We swing back down from 700 down to 250. So that's about 500-point swing. So we're seeing 500, 600-point swings in the stock market. This is not a normal thing. Yes, it's a normal thing for Bitcoin, but it's not a normal thing for the stock market. And it looks like that's about it for the news that I had prepared. So I'd just like to ask everyone to give us a thumbs up. That helps more people find the show. Just push the like button. Then if you could give us a share, and if you could get ready to call us on Skype. I'm going to type this into the chat so everyone can get it, but Skype to World Crypto Network. All one word. And you can call us. You can tell us what you think. Let me get my headphones. Of the current downtrend. If you think it's a correction, if you think it's a crash, give us the scoop. We are looking at 74.95 right now, and we're opening up the phone lines. We're also going to take questions in the chat. So if you have a question in the chat, getting the phone lines ready. Gonna drink some coffee here. All right, Skype is loading up. And once again, I do have to friend you on Skype, so if it takes a little longer to get your call on, that's why. But I will just accept everybody, and we'll do the Skype thing. I tested the sound earlier; it did work. So let me know in the chat. We'll make sure that the Skype sound is working. Let's see what we got. Would be great in Skype if there was an accept all button. But, no one actually uses software. That's the interesting thing. I find that I'm one of the few people that really uses software. I really push those buttons. If there's a software that needs you could do it with 10 things, I'll do it with 100 or 1,000 things. I will break it. But, let's see what we got. Before we do the Skype call, I think we have to do another, commercial from a book here. Let's see. I'm gonna try to pick out a winner. Because yeah, I'm gonna do book readings whenever you don't call on Skype at World Crypto Network. Skype to World Crypto Network. This is a reading from Christopher Hitchens, "Letters to a Young Contrarian." Rest in peace, Mr. Hitchens. He says, "The difficulty with all this, from the radical standpoint, is as follows. Humor is easily enough definable as a weapon of criticism and subversion, but it is very often a mere comfort or survival technique. Ancient authorities understood this well, providing feasts of misrule to entertain the vassals, and laying on licensed jesters and fools into the bargain. I've always thought that it must be this that impelled Nietzsche to define a joke as an epitaph on a feeling. The feeling has hardly risen when it is dissolved or dissipated in a burst of mirth or bathos. An unforgettable moment in Dr. Zhivago puts the cynic Komorowski in the saddle. A salon of bourgeois riffraff falls silent and uneasy as the crowd of workers sings the revolutionary anthem underneath the balcony. He punctuates the tension by exclaiming, "Perhaps they'll learn to sing in tune after the revolution." Interesting reading there from Hitchens. Interesting to think about the ability to have an escape valve for society. If people they're uptight too much, they used to have these parties and these festivals, and people could let loose and like carnival, things like that, bacchanalias, to really get into the Greek term, is what he's talking about there. And maybe this correction in Bitcoin, maybe this correction in the stock market is one of those. It's a time that lets people let loose and experience what it feels like to lose a lot of money. Just as when Bitcoin wouldn't stop going up, and I know you were there with me and you felt it every day, and you said, every day this Bitcoin goes up and I have a little bit and I hold it, and every day it's worth a little bit more, and maybe I should buy more, but when will it stop going up? And you just look at it, and this is the same thing, but going down. You look at it every day, like, it keeps going down. Why won't it stop going down? I don't know. It just keeps going down. But maybe it's an escape valve, this correction. It's letting the air out of the tires. But let's see. We're going to go back up through the chat here, see what's been going on. They're saying Roger Ver is going to be on InfoWars tonight. Certainly looking forward to that, or watching the replay of that. I'm not sure if they just broadcast it live on YouTube or if you have to subscribe or something to get that feed. Roger's an interesting character. He claimed on Twitter that he'd be talking about Bitcoin in this interview, but he means Bcash or Bitcoin Cash or whatever it is. And it's just really sad what he's doing now. He started off as this Bitcoin Jesus, and he had this fantastic energy. He'd go around to all the young people and all the people everywhere and tell them about Bitcoin and how excited he was about it. But now he's lost sight of the ball. He's lost touch with the reality of software, and that software can be upgraded, it can be changed, and software doesn't have to stay the same. In fact, if it did, it would be overwhelmed and destroyed probably by pirates and hackers and thieves and others who would take advantage of this slow-moving software, like a girl in the water being attacked by Jaws. So it's too bad about him. They're saying the Senate hearing makes it seem like crypto is gaining a better reputation, not a worse one. The quotes were a far cry from "it's just the currency of druggy criminals" that we heard years ago, which is true, Andrew K. And that's what's so strange is it's only been a few years. And I know I was talking about Bitcoin then, and maybe you were talking about Bitcoin then, and we certainly told everybody we could, and everybody was all on fire. The whole community, we loved Bitcoin, and then later everyone loved all these altcoins and these ICOs and whatever. But we were so on fire, and now the media hated it. Then they were like, "Oh, it's a Ponzi scheme and it's tulips, and you're all going to get scammed." Blah blah blah. It's the same exact thing technically. Like the technology is pretty much the same, but their opinion has completely changed, which once again shows you that these opinions aren't always set in stone. And even hard logic like Bitcoin is dirty drug money can go away. It can improve. Click through, see if there's anybody else. I think I've added everyone as a contact here on Skype. We are standing by at SKYPE World Crypto Network. Let's see. It says ETH heads are worse than meth heads. Well, it's just about the bag holding, not to single them out, but everyone gets excited about their coin, and they get a stack of it, and they're really excited, and then maybe their coin goes down or has a bad looking chart, and they lose it. So, um, Andrew K also agrees. He says Richard Hart is right. ETH is a shit coin that nonetheless moons anyway because people are retards who buy on hype and buzzwords. That might be true. A lot of it is very hype. Still, the question of the flag is going through the chat. I think we talked about that. Uh, let's see. They're still talking about the Jimmy Hart show, and he just had a emotional reaction to the market crash. We don't know what happened to him personally. He might have lost a lot of money. He might have been on the bad side of a margin call. We don't really know, but we wish him the best. We hope he gets better. And it is very hard to see someone who is so bullish suddenly become so bearish, right? Because it's not just what he's saying or what he's delivering, it's that what he used to say, what he used to deliver, and that it's so different. So hope he comes around. But once again, it's his opinion. He certainly has the right to share it if that's how he feels. Paul Byrne thanks us and says, "Well done for the balanced view the other day on the Richard Hart stream." And I really hope that you guys saw that and that you think that we were fair to him. We intended to be fair. And we do, we don't know what's going on with Richard. We hope he's doing well. Let's see. Sideways movement is always for better for bulls at this range, says Andrew Coin. MT Gao says that eCoin is up 26,070%. So for those of you who don't know, eCoin is kind of a reference to the Mr. Robot TV show. That's the end of my knowledge on it. I don't know anything about the altcoin named eCoin. It probably started off as a joke, but now it got more serious. I don't know. Say, whoop, it jumped to the front of the chat. I was doing so well. See, Eric Padden says that Bitcoin has gone from $1,000 12 months ago to 7,200 today in US dollars. In Satoshis, it hasn't changed. If you hold long term, control your private keys, and think in terms of Satoshis, you'll be fine. And that is true. And that's a good point to go on there. Mr. Wolf has a things for Hitchens and 4-hour green words we're not going to say on the screen, but we'll just pretend it says candlesticks. We are looking at a red line right now on the 5-minute chart. Bitcoin is at $7,488. They say Hitchens and Pasternak. I don't know Pasternak. They say talking about the Wall Street, talking about the Dow Jones, Yin and Yang, Ver and Jones. What do you think Roger and Ver will say tonight? I mean, obviously, you know the character of Alex Jones. He loves a good conspiracy. So if Roger goes in there and you got to figure he's going to sell him this Blockstream owns all the developers conspiracy, that they're the ones that have taken over his beloved Bitcoin and made him change to Bcash and have to go around destroying the original Bitcoin, which no one made him do. In fact, a less emotional person might have been able to say, gosh, well, whatever that original Bitcoin was, it made me a billionaire and whatever, and I'm happy with it, and I'm Roger, and I'm on a beach, and I got rid of my citizenship, and I can do anything in the world, I would just maybe just walk away. Maybe just, take your $1 billion and go find out what it's like to ride a jet ski. I don't know, go tour some caves, check out Indonesia or Taiwan or the Chinese Great Wall. I don't know. There's all kinds of things you could go look at if you were a billionaire. I wouldn't want to get all mad where I get frustrated and yell at a YouTube guy and flick him off on the air and look like a jerk. Even before that, I don't know why Roger wouldn't just retire from public. I mean, do whatever you want. Invest in Bitcoin companies, invest in other companies, run Bitcoin.com even. That's a really good way to get your message out there if you're a billionaire. You just hire people that believe in whatever you believe in, or people, or you hire the kind of people who will believe in Bcash if you pay them, which I guess works too. It seems like you could have the same effect, but just be on a beach and not be so stressed. And if I was a billionaire, I'd look into that. See, MT Gal Viking says Bitcoin isn't the one and only coin. Stop trashing Bcash. Talking trash about coins harms the Bitcoin community. Well, that's definitely the new talking point. And remember, a talking point is something that you give to your trolls and your sock puppets, and you say, "Hey, get this point around, spread this point around." Rephrase it in your own words. So yeah, the new talking point is talking about other coins is no good. But remember, these are the people that relabeled Bitcoin to Bitcoin Core. These are the people that go around calling it Bitcoin's SegWit. They're adding all kinds of names to the original Bitcoin. They're trying to steal the brand of Bitcoin. They're trying to create confusion between Bitcoin and their altcoin, which I respect their right to have an altcoin to go ahead and break off. That's fun. But I don't respect their right to name their altcoin Bitcoin. And if we want to shorten it or use Bcash and then to get all upset like it's a racial slur, when in the same show he'll be saying Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin SegWit or whatever he wants to say these days. So no, I don't really I don't really agree with that. I would look at that, and I would also look at, even if you believe in Bcash and you've made your decision, maybe you're not paid, maybe you're just on your own. I would look at it again and I would say, if we keep doubling this block size, how big are the blocks going to have to be to handle all of the world's transactions? And if you don't think it'll work, if you really think about it over and over again, doubling this block size, you have to change your mind. You have to say, hold on. I like the idea of free digital cash that doesn't cost anything to send it. And I like all these early libertarian ideas, and it's neat. I'm on board. But if it's gonna break because we keep doubling the block size, then I have to say, "Stop," and have someone else run the project. And when you look for someone else, you find Bitcoin, you find the Bitcoin core team, which isn't owned by a single company. It's an open source project. And I know no one has any experience with them and no one has any trust in open source software. But if you can actually think about it, on GitHub, when you update the code, when you add in a new fork or a new branch to the code, people actually look at it line by line. We're actually talking about that level of criticism. We're going line by line. It's as if Bitcoin is an epic poem and we're all working together on the stanzas, and they all have to rhyme and they have to have a certain number of syllables, but we're all working together on it. And the problem with this endless doubling idea and the way that they broke off and the way it seemed like a media event and the way it got pumped and dumped and pumped and dumped, and the way that no one talks about the technology of Bitcoin Cash. No one talks about how it's better than SegWit, because it isn't. And no one talks about what it's going to do in the future when it endlessly doubles the block size, because no one cares, because no one is focused on the technology, because it's probably just a marketing scam. So if you fall into this marketing scam, it's okay. Marketing is very good. It's very convincing. I'd like to see that movie, The Greatest Showman on Earth, about P.T. Barnum. I'd read a lot about him and the cowboy days and the Wild West shows, and you can come see the show and go to the circus, and everyone loves the circus. But eventually you have to come home and you have to look at the reality. And the reality is you can't double the blocks forever. Makes the nodes too big, makes the nodes too expensive, makes they have less nodes. And then everything falls apart because you can censor Bitcoin and you can restrict it now. That's not what we want. Looks like I did talk enough to get someone to call us on Skype. So hold on. We may change the topic or we'll go back to the chat here. All right, we're just going to start calling people. Doesn't look like he's available, but we gave it a shot. No phone calls. I'm going to have to go to another reading here, looking at my stack of books. This looks like a good one. This is Michel Foucault, Discipline and Punish, The Birth of the Prison. Foucault's genius is called forth into the eloquent clarity of his passions, his best book. Washington Post. Let's see. Ooh, this is a big, long paragraph. Not sure if you guys are up for that. Let's see. Now, again, I've read, looks like I've read the first part of this book, but it's all about the prison and the panopticon and this idea of being able to view all the prisoners at one time. And this way you could manage many prisoners with one person. He's also talking about the way that the prisons work and the way that controlling people works. Let's see. Here we go. This looks pretty good. Let's see. Now, this is all pretty heavy language here, so I'm trying to give you a small part, he says. In short, this power is exercised rather than possessed. It is not the privilege, acquired or preserved, of the dominant class, but the overall effect of its strategic positions, an effect that is manifested and sometimes extended by the position of those who are dominated. Furthermore, this power is not exercised simply as an obligation or a prohibition on those who do not have it. It invests them, is transmitted by them and through them. It exerts pressure upon them just as they themselves, in their struggle against it, resist the grip it has on them. This means that these relations go right down into the depths of society, that they are not localized in the relations between the state and its citizens, or on the frontier between classes, and that they do not merely reproduce, at the level of individuals, bodies, gestures, and behavior, the general form of law or government. Although there is a continuity, they are indeed articulated on this form through a whole series of complex mechanisms. There is neither analogy nor homology, but a specificity of mechanism and modality. Lastly, they are not univocal. Univocal, that's a good one. They define innumerable points of confrontation, focuses of instability, each of which has its own risks of conflict, of struggles, and of an at least temporary inversion of the power relations. The overthrow of these micro powers does not then obey the law of all or nothing. It is not acquired once and for all by a new control of the apparatus, nor by a new functioning or destruction of the institutions. On the other hand, none of its localized episodes may be inscribed in history, except by the effects that it induces on the entire network in which it is caught up. And he's talking about power and the power to control, and that it doesn't just stop at one person, that it goes through the entire network. And remember, he's talking about prisons here. This is from the torture chapter, and it's just one of the ways that things work. Power, control, torture. The price of Bitcoin is 7,580, down from a recent peak of 7,615. Looks like a possible low there of 7,458. Let me go back to the chat, see what's going on there. Everyone always tries to understand the future through analogies to the past. That's why we're saying, is Bitcoin and Ethereum like VHS and Betamax? Is it like Facebook and MySpace or Friendster? We're always trying to understand the future through the past. It's never the same, though. It's always different. Is it B cash or B trash? And that's the thing. If you're insulting them, you're calling it B trash. If you're calling it B cash, you're just shortening it for discussion purposes. Is this what actually mean? Let's see. Cool. People are still fighting about B cash. Let's see. They say there's no one asking these questions. Yeah, I mean, it is good to talk about this stuff and get different answers. Remember, if you want to change your mind because of new information, that's a fine thing to do. New information and changing your mind is how everyone does it. So, ah, Swimco was waiting for the 5 Bitcoin yesterday. He set the buy to 6K today, but now we're seeing 7.5. Oh, too bad. Oh, people were getting into the music. They love the phone ringing sound. I remember you can call us at SKYPE WorldCryptoNetwork, but I think a lot of people are working right now, so might be good if we just do the chat here. You Bitcoin maximalists are worse than Jehovah's Witnesses. The angry Bcash supporters on the side. Once again, you can't double the blocks forever. What is your solution? Address the problem. Nothing. Silence. Oh, Jeremy thinks that Alex Jones canceled it because he thought Bcash was a scam. I don't know. I think Alex loves a good conspiracy, and I think he would eat up the Roger Ver, Blockstream, evil motives, take over Bitcoin. I think he'd love that. And again, I think Alex is kind of like Rush Limbaugh, where you can say what you want about him. He's a showman. He's a creator. He's not. I don't take him at face value. I don't take Alex at face value anymore these days either. It's been a long time for old Alex, and at a certain point, he's just playing to the crowd. So, but if that's your crowd and you like it, then you like it. It's not your problem. Oh, the crowd is getting pretty tough on the Bcash supporter. He's being shouted down. It's not a good place to come and pitch the Bcash. If you don't have a solution to the larger nodes and the endlessly doubling block size problem, I don't know what you're doing. Oh, Bitcoin wasn't a registered. Once again, just because Bitcoin's not a registered trademark doesn't mean that Bcash has to have no sense of decency, right? There is such a thing as decency, right? The way that people act, the way that they comport themselves. And when you choose sides with the coin that stole the name and tilted the logo to the left and changed the color, do you have any decency? Really? Because that's what you have to look at. You have to say, I forget the TV show, but one of these movies or something, they were rampaging and they were killing peasants. They were burning villages and they were running through the things. And they said, hey, wait a minute. Are we the good guys or the bad guys? And if you're the one stealing the name, tilting the logo, changing the color, and everyone gets mad at you, it's because you have no decency. It's because you've lost the argument by the horrible way that you acted. All you had to do is change the name of your coin, which is what you're going to do eventually anyways, right? When this whole thing fails 6 months, 2 years down the line, Bitmain's going to take their coin. They're going to change it to Squirrel Coin or Panda Coin. Sorry, Panda Coin. Or something. Firecoin, Fastcoin, Portal Coin. I don't know. They're going to change the name to something and they're going to keep using it as their own little private blockchain. And that's what it's going to be because it's a company coin, miner coin, Bitmain coin. I don't know. Change the name. Let's see. Going back, keeping up with the chat. Let's see. How can people get added to the WCN Slack? Oh, I'll try to read my Twitter messages. Make sure to send your email to my Twitter and I'll add you right then. Otherwise, the problem is people always say, how do I get added? And then I have to respond to them and say email, and then they have to send me the email. I would like to get that fixed. Some Slacks have an auto ad page. I don't know if that would work. We kind of do it one at a time, but we will try to add you to the WCN Slack. The dog is chasing some squirrels. The other dog is sleeping and dreaming of squirrels. Question: is there evidence that large holders have taken profits during the spike? Well, you can't really tell that. I mean, we can certainly tell that somebody was selling at the top, and a lot of people suggested that you take some profit. Next time, of course, there's always next time. We always think that next time we'll sell more, or next time we'll hold more, or whatever the right thing to do is next time. So I think the best we can say is next time, hopefully, we all take some more profit. But then we'll probably be wrong and it will go up more. So that's the one constant, that you'll always make a mistake and be wrong. We don't know that large holders took profits. Uh, we kind of assume that they did, because if they're large holders, they've probably gotten good at riding these ups and downs. Once again, though, a lot of people just lock it up and forget about it, which is another strategy. It can be really stressful to have the up and down goes. Alex, is he the guy with the barking voice? That's definitely him. I don't know for sure that Roger has an interview with Alex. I just know that he's going to be on InfoWars. They have a lot of other correspondents, so it's possible they've handed him off. But if he is with the real Alex Jones, you can bet there'll be some table pounding and some chest thumping, and he loves a good conspiracy, so I'm sure Roger will sell him on the whole alleged nonsense that he keeps pumping. Question: how is it possible to compete with the free Federal Reserve's printing press, as they continue to print free money that's used against Bitcoin with all its shorting? It's a good question. Coffee. So I think for this, we have to go to the idea that has been popularized recently by Daniel Kraywitz. I might have said his name wrong, but what Daniel said is that, think about the Bitcoin. There's only 21 million units. So we're locked in, right? No matter what they do on the outside system, there's always going to be 21 million Bitcoins. But the outside system is inflationary. They can print more units. So they can use these units to buy Bitcoin. The problem is it only pumps up the price of Bitcoin. Now, then they could sell their Bitcoin, drive the price back, manipulate the market, do anything they want. But what it really seems like it might do is that this fiat side of the equation could overinflate itself. It could add a dangerous amount of money to their market because they have no controls. Meanwhile, if they keep buying Bitcoin, if they keep buying the Bitcoin system, Bitcoin has tight controls, right? It has 21 million. It has the halvening structure. If they keep buying Bitcoin, Bitcoin will keep going up, fiat will keep going down, and eventually they'll have to pay back that fiat, and they won't be able to. So they'll keep borrowing, and their debt will get bigger. And the problem here is eventually there might be a collapse. A lot of people just assume that everything will be fine. Sometimes everything's not fine, but we don't know. And if there was a collapse and we still had internet, we had electricity, we could use Bitcoin. But if we lose the internet and we lose electricity, we're going to have much bigger problems. That's what I would focus on. But the Bcasher is leaving. Well, it's nice that he was able to walk away, that he didn't get so critical that we had to ban him. So thank you for the discussion. Sorry it didn't go well for you. The more they print, the less value they have. Exactly. The fiat system. And Bitcoin's the opposite. It's completely locked in. Giving you 5 things that are 6 times better than Bitcoin and you still don't want them. Okay. So for this, we have to talk about market effect and what it means to be the leader. Is there a better social networking site than Facebook? Could we conceive of one? It's faster, the menus are better, it doesn't have the censorship. Whatever it is, we could outline a series of features that would make something better than Facebook. But the problem is Facebook has the network effect, right? All of your friends are on Facebook. It's sticky, right? You can't get them out of it. You can try as you might. You can tell them how the new system's encrypted and how it protects you from the government. And maybe the new system even pays you $5 to post a new image on Facebook. Whatever it is, you can't seem to break the old system. And that's the comparison between Bitcoin, which we'll say is 99% of crypto, and everything else, which is 1% of crypto. Everything else is so small compared to Bitcoin, which is so big. So the problem is that, yeah, fast coin might be faster. Network coin might have a better network. Privacy coin might have better privacy. That's not enough reason for people to switch to Bitcoin. Betamax was higher quality than VHS. HD, DVD was of comparable quality to Blu-ray, but Blu-ray won. So yeah, I suppose I hate to give you the idea, but the winner in the past of adoption has always been whichever side went with pornography. Betamax famously didn't have porn, VHS did. Blu-ray had porn, HD, DVD didn't. So I supposed if Bcash had porn and Bitcoin didn't, then Bcash would win. But fortunately, Bitcoin is money and can be used to buy anything, including porn. So how long does it actually take for an exchange to upgrade to SegWit? We have no way of answering this. Personally, I'm not a developer in this scene, active or anything, so I don't have the technicals. Also, we don't know what their existing code looks like. If Coinbase had very clean code and was ready to go, that would help. If they had old code that needed to be upgraded quite a lot, like they took down Kraken for about 2 days to do maintenance, I assume that was getting rid of old code, bringing in new code, and I'm sure the new code was much better. So things like that can determine how long it'll take. My main criticism of Coinbase was that they said in 2018. I thought it was kind of flippant. From a company like that with a technology upgrade of this importance, you expect to see something like Q1, Q2, and then and like the article said today, they have engineers working on it. They're getting close. These kinds of things are more informative than just saying 2018. For a movie, that's fine. For a TV show or a movie, you just say when it's coming out, or you know, tease it, right? You make it fun. But I wanted more from a technology company. People are going to go hang out in the B Trash chat. They're going to start trolling the B Trash meetings. Sure, first they'll have to have some. But we're not here just to talk about them. They brought themselves up in the chat, and we're discussing it because we discuss whatever you guys want to discuss. Top 5 favorite books. That's really hard. It's easier to go with authors. When I find an author I read them all. Off the top of my head, I really like Tom Robbins, Neil Stephenson, Douglas Copeland, people like this. Mike Ruff has been good. Matt Ruff, he wrote this book, The Mirage. It's really good. It's about another world where instead of the World Trade Center towers, you had the Islamic towers, and they were hit by Christian terrorists instead of allegedly Islamic terrorists. So it is a very fun exercise in other worlds. Also, of course, Philip K. Dick, things like that. A lot of sci-fi. A lot of sci-fi. Alex Jones is not the brightest candle on the cake. Nope, especially for that one where he said frogs could turn you into things. Lots of dead bodies reported to the marijuana industry. Don't know about that. Obviously, drugs are worth a lot of money and they're illegal. So people with guns might want to take them from you if you had a lot of them. So, all right. They say Bitcoin developers come from all over. There's more than 1,300 of them, and there's less than 5 from Blockstream. That's very true. Anyone can program on Bitcoin. It's a science project. You can come along, look at the code, put up your interpretation, send it in through the mailing list, discuss it with people in a polite scientific process. And if your code is good, if your idea is good, if it doesn't break anything else, and that's a complex thing. A lot of when we're flying this airplane, your code might not break anything, but it might make the airplane slightly heavier. And if you make the airplane slightly heavier, it affects a lot of other systems. So even if they think your code might be risky, they might keep your code out. This is a unique situation. It's like we're working on a bank vault, and we can never close the bank vault, and it always has to stay operational. But at the same time, we have this crowd of people who want new features. So should change our name to World Bitcoin Religion. Ooh, zing. Zing. No, it's still not funny. Scalia died at the Grove. Natural causes, of course. He was found with a pillow over his face. But maybe he was just tired. Twitter is better than Facebook. Interesting. Not stock wise. to my own pain. Michael Holiday sent us $2 to say be cash, be cash, be cash. That's funny. You could think that he was supporting them, but you know he's not, because they get all upset every time. All right. All your constant attacks on Bitcoin and the world crypto networks give Bcashers a martyrdom position. No. If you choose to be a victim, you're a victim. If you just change the name of your altcoin to Cash, which would be just as confusing, or you could call it New Cash. You could just go off on your own and have the New Cash network, and no one would ever talk about you, and that'd be great. So, too bad. Let's see. HD DVD was the inferior tech, but it also didn't have porn, right? But that thing was a mess with the DivX and all the other nonsense around the video switch. The real kicker was, though, when Apple stopped including optical drives and that they didn't go to Blu-ray. For me, that kind of broke the whole connection to the physical disc medium. And as Apple intended, drove me to the streaming stores and the iTunes and the Netflix. I wonder if Apple will buy Netflix. It's a good buy, I think. Let's see. Still trying to scroll with the chat, but it always jumps forward. Let's see. Yeah, HD DVD had better compression, but Blu-ray had more room left on the disc for games and other bullshit on the menu. I like a disc that just starts the movie when I put the disc in. That's what I like. No screens before. Let's see. This guy's not going to Acapulco because it's too hot to wear a bulletproof vest. Oh, well. I don't know about that. Is the Bcash plan to just double the block size? Yes, it is. I've never heard anything concrete or expansive from that. I would like to hear about anything else, but I haven't. I even asked my friend Alejandro in his speech at the Blockchain Hotel. I said, what if the blocks are full? And he said we would hard fork again and double the blocks. And, you know, he doesn't speak for Bcash. He's not the be all and end all, but just as an idea, I keep asking and I keep getting nothing. And I think that's a problem. So Philip K. Dick to the moon. Yep, he's really good. I find for a while there, I was reading him 2 or 3 at a time. And what I liked is the ones with the worst titles were usually better. So, sorry, dog is barking. But the ones with really long titles too. He'll do like all the letters that I sent home that were never returned. And you'll be like, oh, that sounds good. Or it'd be like Galactic Pot Healer, or things that were left over in the bag but should have been taken out. A novel by Philip K. Dick. Oh yeah, Douglas Adams. I'm huge into Douglas Adams. I was just naming them on the thing. I wasn't looking at my bookcase. Neil Stephenson, Snow Crash, really good. Oh, William Gibson, of course. I feel bad I didn't mention Gibson, but Cyberpunk, I've read all those books. For me, it's often like with films, it was directors. With books, it was authors. When I find a good author, I'll read all their books. If I find a good director, I'll watch all their movies. It's interesting with movies, you think it's actors, right? Like you really like Nick Cage films. And part of that is true. A good actor like Brad Pitt or Nick Cage can choose some good scripts sometimes. But it really takes a good director like P.T. Anderson or Stanley Kubrick to bring home a good film every time. And you see the connections. You also see the same actors. You see the same themes over and over again. Someone says Church of Bitcoinology here reminds me of Church of Scientology, and pretty much P.T. Anderson's last couple movies have both been about that in their own way. The Master and this new one that I haven't seen yet. I think it's called The Phantom Thread. It's up for Oscars, of course. He's the best filmmaker we have. Also, he did Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood, or There Will Be Oil, whatever it is, like that great oil movie. But recently he's talked about The Master, and he talked about L. Ron Hubbard from Scientology, and he wrote a character kind of like that. And I think this new one is similar. A person whose words have power over people and what it means to be persuasive. And this was it seemed really important before with Hoffman and when The Master came out, but it seems even more important now. People with power and words that can control people. Oh yeah, Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird. Yep, these are great books. Catcher in the Rye, I read very early. I've read probably more than other books. I've read it 5 or 6 times. It's really good, but tight words, very tight. Call it Bit Kitties. You get attention faster. I heard there is a new project like Crypto Pups or something on YouTube. They've stolen the idea from Crypto Kitties and are doing it with cats or with dogs. Yeah, they're gonna have some scaling problems if that keeps happening. But once again, as I'm being critical of Ethereum, at the same time, Ethereum is also software. If Ethereum comes up with a good solution to fix their scaling problem and it works, and I know one of them is Plasma, and it's pretty much the Ethereum version of Litecoin, or sorry, Lightning Network. And that could solve their problem, and maybe they could have all the crypto kitties and crypto puppies they want. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Did you read and like the super hyped book Sapiens that came out a few years ago? Really interesting connection to Bitcoin, human origins, myths, money, etc. No, I haven't read it, but it sounds interesting. I'd say I'd add it to my list to check it out, but I have this horrible book backlog of unread books. It keeps getting worse. But the same thing for unwatched movies. I'm probably going to have to bring this dog in, but the price of Bitcoin is $7,800. We were, until I said it, continuing to burst upward. But that's just the power of Bitcoin Talk Show. This happens every time. Let's see. Stand Up PDX is still mad about Bitcoin and BCH. He has the right to choose. World Crypto Network, BCH just added an adult section to the Accept BCH initiative website. Well, good for you guys. Go after the porn market. Nothing wrong in that. I mean, I guess that's a more complex issue we could talk about another time. But as a marketplace that has money, you could make money there. But once again, this goes to the wrong-headed ideas of Bcash. A few years ago, Bitcoin was a Swiss Army knife, and it had many tools in it. And people like myself and Andreas and other people who really liked Bitcoin and wanted to help explain it to people went out there and picked a couple of the tools and said, hey, it does this. Hey, it does that. And we knew it was a Swiss Army knife. We knew that it was also a fork as well as a knife, and it was also a spoon, and it was a big knife and a small knife, and all of those things. And that's how we talk to people about Bitcoin. Now, the problem recently is that it's always been, what order do you do this Bitcoin adoption in? What order gives you the most success? And since no one's ever done this before, switching all of society to a digital currency or a digital asset class or whatever you want to call it, no one knows how to do it. So we're all working on different solutions to this problem. And the initial solution was merchant adoption, which was a bit of a chicken and an egg problem. How do you get the merchants to adopt it when there are no customers? How do you get the customers to adopt it when there are no merchants? And people went at this different ways. They went around to the merchants and signed them up. But then they didn't do the other side. They didn't go around to the customers and incentivize them. And people said, maybe we need something like Groupon. You need to save money to use Bitcoin. And all of these complex ideas and all of these things. And let me tell you, it didn't work. Bitcoin merchant adoption didn't work. The way to sell a complex new digital currency turns out not to be at your local AMPM. It seems a lot more like people learn about Bitcoin online through their computers, through their phones or whatever. Then they go to a website and they buy it. Then they try it on their phone online. They don't need to go to a store. So the idea that this is like a bookstore where we need to build a physical location and you need to go somewhere and buy something to understand Bitcoin no longer seems like the best way to explain it. Also, at least in the United States, in developed countries, the credit card system, the banking system, and even the cash systems work very well for payments. So if you're going to beat payments and you say, okay, I've got $100 or I've got $100 in Bitcoin or I've got $100 in Bcash, the $100 in real money, cash, sorry, not real money, but the $100 in USD or fiat or whatever you want to call it is worth more. It's easier to spend. That gives it more value. Bcash doesn't have any comparative values that make it better than credit cards or that make it better than Bitcoin for the purposes of merchant adoption. So I wouldn't start there. The problem with Bcash is that Bitcoin as a store of value and Bitcoin as a network has established itself in a Facebook-like position in the center of the map. And as more things like the Lightning Network and Rootstock attach to Bitcoin, which the segregated witness upgrade, which Bcash doesn't have, makes possible, right? All these different links in and out of Bitcoin because we don't have transaction malleability anymore. All of these additional links make Bitcoin stronger and even harder to push from that central position. So Bcash, you're not just working against the US dollar, you're also working against Bitcoin. Your job is very hard, and I'm not sure that you're going to win on any front. I don't see any easy battles for you. You want to get some wins. I didn't see the CFTC meeting this morning. I did read about it on Twitter. It did sound very bullish. It sounded like they were going to regulate with a hands-off approach, i.e., they don't want to kill the goose that is laying golden eggs. And they understand the internet and the way that that worked, and they want to have a similar rollout for crypto. So I think it was very encouraging. Everyone's excited for the Bcash Alex Jones interview, chatting about that. Say Bcash does have new technologies they're working on: graphene, XThin, and FlexTrans. So I'll have to look at these and see more about them. But that's good. You guys should go to the Bcash talk show and talk about those. Bitcoin Unlimited, ABC, and nChain are all working on tech for Bcash. Oh, it's the same guy, though. Is there anybody else? There's only 2 guys in the whole world that support this thing? Oh, somebody read Galactic Pot Healer. Great book. Oh, I think I was just referencing that one as one of the bad title Philip K. Dick books. I'm not sure I've actually read that one. I have read a bunch of them, though. They are fun. It's always a messed up in a different world. One of the best, of course, is Flow My Tears, the policeman said. And this guy, he's a game show host, and everything is great in his life. And the next day he wakes up, no one knows who he is. He's an unknown man. Oh yeah, they're talking Valis. Valis was a great one. I love the Valis trilogy and Radio Free Albermuth. Kind of the same idea, but in a single story. Yeah, I do want to see that Electric Dreams show. I haven't watched the new series of Black Mirror yet. The old ones freaked me out. It's one of those things. It's on my list to watch. I don't know when. It's when you feel like being freaked out. not an often feeling. They're talking about Ron Jeremy, the helicopter. Not sure how that's bringing up, but that's another thing I've heard of. He was in the South Park guys movie Orgasmo. Oh, they say there's a okay. Dog is like. I know you guys can't hear it, but I can hear. She's barking at the squirrel right outside my window. Let me drink some more water here. I would be interested in a Philip K. Dick biography, but I do feel like from all the movies I've watched and like little documentaries I watched, I do have a good idea of what he was up to. And of course, for Philip K. Dick, it's all about whether the 1972 or 1973 experience with the pink light was real and whether or not he robbed his own house, whether it was him or whether it was the government. Uh, he considered that it was certainly possible that he did it himself. Philip K. Dick's a fascinating guy, interesting books, and of course, if you haven't read the books of Philip K. Dick in the past, there'd only be a couple of movies I could point to, but now there are more than I can name. He pretty much owns the last 15, 20 years, despite the fact that he's been dead for 20 or 30. Things like, of course, Blade Runner, Minority Report, Paycheck. There's just a ton more, but any kind of major dystopian film that you've seen recently owes something to Philip K. Dick, or in many ways, or many times was actually based on a story by his. I'm sure they'll tell me in the chat all the other PK Dick movies I'm not thinking of right now. I have seen pretty much all of them, and they're all really good. Even the Nicolas Cage one that was adopted from The Golden Man, and where you could see into the future a little bit. He was an evolutionary adaptation. Even that one's kind of good, but the short story is better. Oh, the movie Woman in the Dunes by Hiroshi Teshigara. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. I've heard it was really recommended, and it's a good film. I would like to check it out. A Woman in the Dunes. Need to remember. Okay, so they're looking at the price. The price of Bitcoin is $7,780. That seems well up from where we started this show. I think we were in the 75 or 7200s. Presumably, Bitcoin is going up because of the positive CFTC meeting, because of the technical indicators. Maybe we did find a bottom. Maybe we did find some support, although I don't think the volume has been saying that lately. And because it's Tuesday. It always goes up on Tuesday. We could just make up any rule like that we want. Bitcoin Cash is just a little bitch. Yeah, funny. Why no call-in? I don't know. No one's been calling. Maybe Skype is broken. I'm at SKYPE World Crypto Network. I've been threatening to do readings when I don't get calls, but people like the readings, so it's backfired on me. Let's see what else I have to read here. I have a stack of books on the ready. Oh, I have one that you guys will like. It's got, see, the best books are books that have flags in them. I don't know if you guys have these, but these little post-it flags, you can mark all the cool quotes from the books, and you can go back to them. Like right here, this book you guys might have read. It's called The Revolution, a Manifesto by Ron Paul. You've heard of that guy. And right here in an early chapter, he said, I'm reminded of George Orwell's references to the streamlined men who think in slogans and talk in bullets. Little military-industrial complex reference there from Ron Paul. I'm going to flip ahead. That was just kind of a cool Orwell quotation. He said, the chairman of the International Relations Committee responded by saying, there are things in the Constitution that have been overtaken by events, by time. Declaration of war is one of them. There are things no longer relevant to a modern society. We are saying to the president, use your judgment. What you have proposed is inappropriate, anachronistic. It isn't done anymore. And of course, he's talking about the way that Congress hasn't declared war since the Second World War. And it was interesting. They were talking about that just the other night on the Lawrence O'Donnell show. And what they're saying is, because we haven't declared war and there is no official enemy, we're in a unique legal situation where you can't commit treason in the United States. To commit treason, you have to give aid or comfort to an enemy. And there is no official enemy of the United States because we haven't declared war on anyone. Interesting fact. Or, maybe not even that true. It's a legalism you could probably go down for treason anyway. I wouldn't say it's a get out of treason free card or anything like that. Um, let's see. Do you consider Lightning to be peer to peer? So some kind of trap question. Things not peer to peer. It fails some kind of morality test, something like that. Uh, we're still talking about Richard Hart. Richard Hart just had a small emotional breakdown, but Ivan seemed uncomfortable sometimes. He did well though. I have heard that Ivan is 21 years old, so it's a bit of a unfair match, him versus Richard there. But once again, to look at Richard from a larger scale, and I don't know that this is true, and I don't want to cast doubt or aspersions on him, but if I came into a space and I kind of established myself and I had some fights, and then I said that a thing was going up, 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 and then I started to say that a thing was going down, 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 and that I also had another product to sell, an ICO that just happened to be right there in the background, I would find it tough to believe a person like that. Taking away all of Richard's philosophy that I like and all of his delivery style, which I also like. I would say, you sold me something going up, you sold me something going down, and now you're trying to sell me your own product. And it just gets kind of questionable. But that's just me. I'm tough to trust. Let's see. They say, well, everyone was happy. Bitcoin was going up to 78.37. Now it's dropped to 76.18. I've seen a red candle. But still, if we look at this zooming out, it does seem like a bit of an uptrend. Do you guys think the stock market will crash? David Z. Well, part of the problem here is that the president has linked himself to the stock market. And this is a questionable decision. It's probably a mistake. Previous presidents, and they talked about this yesterday on all my shows. So previous presidents haven't wanted to do that because it's so volatile. It goes up and down on its own. So the fact that previously he'd taken credit for it going up made one think that he had a plan or he did something that made it go up. But if now it's going down and he's saying nothing, he probably doesn't have a plan or a solution to make it go back up. So there is a potential weakness in the stock market. But once again, it's a very complex system built on a lot of different things, not all of which involve politics, some of which just involve the flow of goods around the world or the crop of carrots in Bangladesh. There's a SpaceX test. It was live. I guess we missed it. Sorry about that. The payload is a Tesla Roadster. They're bringing cars back to the moon. That'd be cool. Someone says, Tone says there's going to be one final pump before moving down. I guess. I don't know. No one knows the future. People try with technical analysis, and it does work. It works a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't work. So, oh yeah, Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves. That's a great Philip K. Dick book and adaptation, especially the way they had the rotoscoping, the cartoon art put over them. I think Richard Linklater did the film. He did Slacker and some other films. Waking Life, maybe. Or at least they also had the same rotoscoping style. But very cool film. I have a graphic novel version, and I read the book too. It's very interesting when the police officer takes on and off his suit that camouflages him, and the complexity of someone's brain that disconnects inside their mind as the officer is investigating himself. And very, very strong Philip K. Dick book there, Scanner Darkly. I ask myself, will the scanner see me lightly or darkly? Also about a future where everyone can be tracked and controlled. Let's see. Read. Bitcoin to 4K. Blog this out with a Skype link in the title. Yeah, it's in the Skype is on. We are standing by at SKYPE WorldCryptoNetwork. People wanted to see the Falcon launch, but I don't know. They might have taken the ad revenue if we play anything fun. Not that that's that important, but you know, a couple extra bucks in the pile. They say we've seen the rebound to 7.8K. This is good. Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. Definitely Vonnegut should have been mentioned in my favorite authors, Hunter S. Thompson as well. But especially Vonnegut. Every time you read Vonnegut, it's like hanging out with an old friend. I like the way he talks. I like the way he thinks. I like the things he thinks about. Definitely read all of those. I think I read Sirens of Titan at the same time as a different one. So they blend together. But yeah, can't say enough about Vonnegut. Would love to. We should do some more talk about Vonnegut. Get some PewDiePie to read Vonnegut too. Tyrannox says that Ivan was the voice of reason in the interview, and he did well. So shout out to Ivan. And they say he took it well. He was stuck in it for a bit. And it can be hard when you have someone that's bullish Bitcoin that just becomes bearish Bitcoin. And I imagine Ivan is more bullish or more in the middle. So he probably wanted to counter Richer there. But you also don't want to get into a head-to-head argument. I've had some guests on. I've interviewed some people that have a very strong position on things. And my point's not to fight with them on that position, but to get their views out and to get their ideas out, and then we can debate them and discuss them. And I think that's better than having a confrontation where someone ends up flipping you the bird and running off. That's not that useful. People are agreeing with me that presidents don't control the economy. Even the Fed doesn't control the economy. I agree with that. Totally agree. I've had some negative comments telling me that the president does control the economy or that he has major effect. And he has some effect, and he can kind of try to set the course, but he doesn't have full effect. And that's why previous presidents have not linked themselves so closely to the stock market. You're seeing this president run and hide as the market falls. Oh, how about that? Oh, I didn't even recognize that sound, but we have a phone call. Let's see what's going on here. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. Oh, it says missed call. I said answer call. We're going to try one more time. Oh, it's going to work this time. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. How's it going?
G'day, Tom. How you going, mate?
It's going good. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Jamie. I'm calling from Australia, matey.
All right. What's on your mind today about Bitcoin?
Yeah, man. I asked it the other day to Adam Back, and he responded to me, but I didn't quite understand his response. I asked the question to Adam Back: if empty blocks are getting mined, does this enhance the halving time for the reward of Bitcoin? And he said something about outspent outputs or something like that. So it was a bit of a tongue-twisted answer, really, and I didn't really understand the answer he gave me. What's your take on that?
Well, I assume we're talking about Bitmain mining the empty blocks here.
Yeah, that's right. So if empty blocks are getting mined, does that like enhance, like does it speed up the, like we're gonna say halve the block reward at say 780,000, for example, and we're at 600 something. If say 50,000 blocks are mined really quickly and they're empty, is that gonna like make it quicker so we get to the next halving?
Well, I still think they come every 10 minutes, even if they are mined empty. Mining empty blocks mainly affects the mempool. So if there were extra transactions that hadn't been confirmed yet, maybe even zero fee or low fee transactions, they might not be including them for some reason. I can tell you from my interview with Roger Ver, it was a while ago. Roger said, and I don't know if this is technically true, but this is the side that I've heard from the other side. They say that it was really strange. So he said the mining chips are really hot and they're running and they need to keep running. So sometimes they can guess the next block and they can get to it in a special way before that. And that it's better to mine an empty block than to have the miners kind of shut down and then start again, like that it keeps them hot. And I don't know if there's an official reason or if this is a Bitmain kind of BS reason that's out there. I took that to other people. I took that to Peter Todd. He said, no, they shouldn't be doing that. I don't know what that is. They should be mining full blocks or nearly full blocks. The point of a block is to have transactions in it. It might be something they're doing intentionally to mess up Bitcoin. It might just be just an advantage. Part of the ASIC boost game is that they could guess the blocks faster, then they could win more blocks, then they could get more money. Maybe mining empty blocks gets them out faster and they get more money. I would assume it always goes down to who benefits.
Yeah, gotcha.
Cool. Anything else on your mind? How's it going down there in Australia?
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Sunny Western Australia, man. It's the best.
Well, sounds good. Go surfing for me then.
Yeah, man. You take it easy. Thanks a lot for
All
all your
right.
effort.
Thank you for the call. And you can call us right now at World Crypto Network, all one word on Skype. You could install Skype on your phone, on your computer. All you need is a microphone, headphones, a quiet room, something like that. They're agreeing with me, presidents in the stock market. They said the SpaceX test was great. Glad it went well. I root for space. I think space and science fiction are super fun. Let's see. Glad to hear that Stand Up PDX is testing the Lightning Network. Sorry, he's having a difficult time with it. I've heard a lot of good things. People are buying stickers and coffee. They're testing out the Zap wallet. It's very cool stuff. Going back and forth. There's a couple of dogs. Let's see. Harry Harrison, the stainless steel rat. I don't know. Maybe that's a book. Oh yeah, Total Recall is another Philip K. Dick sci-fi movie. I prefer the original compared to the new one. The Bitcoin price was at 7,837. Looks like it's dropped right now to 7,525. Was on kind of a upward run, but we don't know if it's over yet. Hopefully the Falcon won't blow up. We root for space. Oh, we've fallen behind a little bit. Trying to catch back up. Tesla Roadster is an amazing car. I got to ride in a Tesla in France, in Paris, actually. And my friend did that thing from the stop line where he set it into ludicrous mode and he hammered it. And we went 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or whatever it is and shot me back into my chair. And I was like, whoa, it was like a roller coaster. It was really crazy. I don't think you need that for your car, but it was neat, the electrical thing. Who is Adam Back? Adam Back is a very famous cryptographer. He worked on the initial idea of hash cash, and he worked on some of the initial ideas of proof of work. He was a member of the Cyberpunk mailing list that initially discussed the ideas that kind of led to Bitcoin. And now he works and helps own, I think, and runs Blockstream. So he's working on new technologies for Bitcoin. It's really cool. I got to meet him in Prague. I did an interview with him and Tone. You can check it out here on the World Crypto Network. Just search for Adam Back. Let's see. Things scroll down again. Let's see. Oh, they're saying Tone wants 1,300. So that is a very low if we retreat all the way back there. Oh, now Robert Townsend, maybe from The Who, is here with a movie. He says, movie Dark City. That is a great movie. I love Dark City. It's so good. It almost convinced me that Alex Proyas was a good director. It turns out that he's not. He did The Crow, Dark City, then he did the disappointing I, Robot, and now I think he's doing the disappointing Jason and the Argonauts or some kind of a Greek movie, Clash of the Titans, and people were disappointed. It's too bad. But Dark City is a great movie. You should check out Dark City. Meanwhile, I've got people messaging me in Slack that don't know I'm live on the air. So that's good. We'll just ignore that. So yeah, we explained who Adam Back is. He's super cool. And I think we've caught up with the chat. So unless you guys have a call They don't make movies like they used to. That's true. That's good. People keep talking to me in chat. I'm going to try to find one more quote to end this show on. I might make it simple and just go back to good old Hemingway. I think we've been on the air about an hour and a half right now. That's a pretty good show. And I'm going to get us a quote here from Farewell to Arms. We got into Milan early in the morning and they unloaded us right in the freight yard. An ambulance took me to the American hospital. Riding in the ambulance on a stretcher, I could not tell what part of town we were passing through, but when they unloaded the stretcher, I saw a marketplace and an open wine shop with a girl sweeping out. They were watering the street, and it smelled of the early morning. They put the stretcher down and went in. The porter came out with them. He had gray mustaches, wore a doorman's cap, and was in his shirt sleeves. The stretcher would not go into the elevator, and they discussed whether it was better to lift me off the stretcher and go up in the elevator or carry the stretcher up the stairs. I listened to them discussing it. They decided on the elevator. They lifted me from the stretcher. Go easy, I said. Take it softly. And just a quick recap, the price of Bitcoin is $7,619, down from a recent high of $7,837, but up from a recent low of $6,795. Just saying, the day after I announced my book column, the biggest YouTuber on the net, PewDiePie, starts one too. Maybe reading is cool. And you can check out the first edition of my new book column, Stuff I've Been Reading, January 2018, over on Steemit. And if you want, you can upvote it. And I did a audio version over on Mad Bitcoin's channel. If you like this show and you want to support this show, you can always subscribe to Mad Bitcoins on Patreon. We have 93 patrons. For a little while there, we were over 100. So we were just 7 away from having 100 patrons. But we are raising $500 a month to keep me making shows. So thank you for your support. Also, check us out, the World Crypto Network on iTunes. You can subscribe on iTunes, get the audio podcast. Give us a customer rating. We only have about 35 ratings on there. We could use some more. And this audio podcast includes more than just the World Crypto Network. It also includes Tone Vase, Jimmy Song, Adam Mister, and much, much more. Adam Meister? I don't know. I keep saying it wrong. I can't get it right. But his show is on there, the One Bitcoin Show. It's excellent. We've got lots of updates here. Bitcoin Morning Brief, Bitcoin Evening Brief, Crypto Audio Blog, even Richard Hart on Ivan on Tech. Richard Hart recently agreed to join the podcast, even though I guess he's a big Bitcoin bear now. But you can check out what he says right here. Listen to it all day in the background. Go to work, do other things. And if you've got some extra Bitcoin, maybe it went up, maybe it went down, maybe it's still in your wallet, and you want to send it here to support free and open podcasts like this that don't promote a bag full of this or a bag full of that, you can scan the QR code right now on your screen. And we'll be back soon, maybe even tomorrow, with another episode of Bitcoin Talk Show, or maybe Today in Bitcoin. Today's Tuesday, February 6, 2018. Until next time, bye-bye.